America is fat. An average of 30% of Americans are currently obese, according to a study found on the state of obesity. Just to be clear, if your BMI is above 30% or above, you're obese. This means that an average man at 5'9" who is 200 pounds or more is obese. How many people do you know that fit that definition? You can walk down the street and any city and almost every other person can fit this definition. At the worst part is, our children are no exception. Childhood obesity is at an all-time high, more than triple what it was in the 70s. 14% of 2.5 to 5-year-olds, and 18% of 6 to 11-year-olds, and then it tops out at 20% of teens from 12 to 19 years old, all obese. But you might say a little fat never hurt anyone. It just means there's more love. Actually, it means there's more of you going to die young. Your chances of dying by heart disease, diabetes, or a stroke, all preventable diseases, and are only outnumbered by smokers. And it's only to get worse. Projections from the CDC show that our current rate will exceed an average of 50% of the population being obese by 2050. We have a problem in our country, and it's literally killing people. So how do we fix it? Well, the major cause of our solution is actually right in front of us, because an alarming trend has become ever more present. The amount of sugar that we intake. Sugar consumption in the United States has increased by 30%, and more than 80% of our food produced in America contains sugar. This means that in addition to what the food naturally has sugar content, the food industry adds even more. According to the Department of Agriculture, the average adult consumes between 150 to 170 pounds of sugar added every year. And here's the funny part. They don't even label it as sugar. Added sugars have lots of different names. Corn syrup, brown sugar, beet sugar, fruit juice, malt syrup, barley malt, dextrose, maltodextrin, glucose, lactose, cane juice, call it what you will. It's still added sugar, and it still makes you fat and increases your chances of dying of preventable diseases. Now, some might say, but I thought fat made you fat. It just makes more sense. Yeah, that's what the sugar industry published in 1970 when people started to become concerned over the rise of heart disease in this country. After President Eisenhower suffered a heart attack in the late 50s, research was conducted to find the cause. And when the sugar industry was found that data was starting to point towards them, they paid scientists like Ansel Keys to push the blame on fat. The sugar industry has been keeping this idea in our head for decades. Luckily, there are still those out there who would rather see us healthy. According to the American Heart Association, the maximum daily value of sugar intake should be limited to 37 grams for a man and 25 for a woman. Yet there is 65 grams of sugar in just one bottle of Coke, 33 grams of sugar in a honey bun, and scale out any piece of candy to find a surprising weight to match it. The fact is that we are convinced that fat is evil. America has become dependent on our sugar addiction. And in truth, sugar or even carbohydrates are not even what evolution intended for us to begin with. According to livescience.org, our bodies burn calories first as it's easiest to do, thus storing fats for later use, which allows us to have longer energy reserve. To compound this, sugars are refined in a way that makes it even easier for our body to burn, making it the obvious choice. When we can see the results played out in front of us. Every year in our livestock, when we feed them carb-heavy feeds, they fatten up quickly. We aren't much different. So, now that I have your attention, there is a silver lining. This gray cloud I have painted for you. We can reduce the obesity rate and help Americans live longer, healthier lives, and it's easy giving your body what they actually need. Cut out the sugar and eat more healthy foods. A trend lifestyle that is hitting people by storm is called keto. The reason why it's so effective? No sugar. I have people close to me that have simply cut sugar from their diets. I myself have cut sugar from my diets, and I watch the excess weight practically fall off of all of us. They are healthier, we are happier. We can fix this problem. We just put forth the effort and put it against the sugar industry. Just say no thank you. You don't have to be fat to be fat. You don't have to be fat. Now put down that candy bar and go eat some nuts.